Hello friends, for the next 10 minutes you are going on a roller coaster ride about Flight 571. High in the Andes Mountains, a lone aircraft battled the unforgiving elements. On board Flight 571, a rugby team and their families dreams of a match in Chile. The date, October 13, 1972. Little did they know, their journey would become a harrowing tale of survival. The Andes, known for their treacherous peaks and unpredictable weather, were about to test the limits of human endurance. The Fairchild, FH-227D aircraft, buffeted by strong winds, struggled to navigate the treacherous mountain passes. Visibility was poor, the air thin and icy. The pilots, experienced but facing unforeseen challenges, fought to keep the plane aloft. The passengers, unaware of the impending danger, chatted, laughed, and anticipated their destination. Suddenly, a jarring impact. The plane, caught in a deadly downdraft, slammed into a remote, snow-covered mountainside. The world turned upside down. Metal shrieked, luggage flew, and terrified screams filled the air. The once hopeful journey had transformed into a desperate fight for survival against the brutal forces of nature. The initial crash was just the beginning of their ordeal. The fuselage of the plane, miraculously intact, became their refuge in a frozen wasteland. Disoriented and injured, the survivors crawled from the wreckage. Panic and confusion reigned as they surveyed the devastation around them. Broken bodies, twisted metal, and the deafening silence of the mountains greeted them. Among the survivors, a mix of emotions, fear, despair, and a glimmer of hope. They were alive, but stranded on a desolate mountainside miles from civilization. The freezing temperatures, biting wind, and threat of starvation became their immediate enemies. The survivors knew that their chances of being found were slim. They had to rely on their instincts, their will to live, and each other if they were to survive this nightmare. Instinct took over. They gathered the scattered remains of their belongings, clothes, food, anything that could provide warmth or sustenance. The injured were tended to with whatever meager supplies were available. The rugby players, used to hardship and teamwork, emerged as natural leaders, organizing the survivors and rationing their limited resources. They knew that every decision, every action, could mean the difference between life and death. Days turned into nights. The freezing cold seeped into their bones. The meager rations dwindled. Hope, once a flickering flame, began to fade. The survivors huddled together inside the wrecked fuselage, their breath forming icy clouds in the frigid air. The vastness of the Andes surrounded them, a stark reminder of their isolation. The harsh reality of their situation set in. The initial euphoria of survival gave way to the grim realization that rescue was unlikely. They were alone, stranded on a glacier at over 11,000 feet, facing the full fury of nature's wrath. The mountains, once a distant spectacle, were now their prison, their icy grip tightening with each passing day. The outside world seemed a distant memory. Families, friends, and the comforts of civilization felt like figments of a fading dream. The survivors clung to the hope of rescue, their spirits buoyed by faint radio signals that offered a tantalizing link to the outside world. But as days turned into weeks and the signals faded, despair began to cast a long shadow over their hearts. Hunger gnawed at their bellies. The initial supplies, carefully rationed, were almost gone. They were starving, their bodies weakening with each passing hour. The will to live, however, burned fiercely within them. They knew they had to find food, no matter how desperate the situation. They scoured the crash site, searching for anything that could provide sustenance. Every scrap of food became precious. They melted snow for drinking water, their bodies craving any form of nourishment. They ate leather straps cut from suitcases, their stomachs rebelling against the inedible. But survival often demands extraordinary measures. The line between life and death blurred with each passing day. They found solace in shared stories, songs, and prayers. These moments of human connection, however brief, provided a flicker of warmth in the icy grip of despair. They clung to the memory of their loved ones, drawing strength from the thought of seeing them again. Section 5. A Pact with Fate, the Unthinkable Decision. The harsh reality of their situation became inescapable. Starvation loomed, a relentless predator. The survivors, their bodies pushed to the brink, faced a horrifying dilemma. To live, they had to make an unthinkable decision. They made a pact with fate, a decision born out of desperation and the primal instinct to survive. They would consume the flesh of the deceased. It was a decision that went against every fiber of their being, a taboo that shook them to their core. But it was a decision made in the face of unimaginable circumstances, a choice between dying with their principles intact or living with the weight of their actions. The first attempt was met with revulsion, a testament to their humanity. But as days turned into weeks and their bodies continued to fail, the survivors understood the necessity of their gruesome pact. They were not monsters, but desperate souls clinging to life in the face of unimaginable horrors. Section 6. The body's resilience, adapting to survive. The human body is capable of extraordinary things when pushed to the limits. The survivors of Flight 571 were a testament to this resilience. They adapted to the extreme conditions, their bodies slowly acclimating to the altitude, the cold, and the lack of oxygen. Their minds, too, underwent a transformation, developing a steely resolve and an unflinching will to live. They developed routines, finding purpose in the midst of chaos. They collected snow for water, rationed their meager food supply, and worked tirelessly to reinforce their makeshift shelter. They shared stories, sang songs, and offered each other words of encouragement. They refused to let the despair consume them. They found strength in their shared humanity, drawing comfort from the knowledge that they were not alone in their suffering. They learned to navigate the treacherous terrain, their bodies becoming accustomed to the thin air and the biting wind. They developed a deep understanding of their environment, learning to read the signs of the mountains and the weather. They became one with the wilderness, their survival depending on their ability to adapt and overcome. Section 7. A glimmer of hope. Radio signals from civilization. Amidst the despair, a flicker of hope emerged from the ether. A small transistor radio, salvaged from the wreckage, picked up a faint signal. It was a news report, a beacon from the outside world, confirming that they were not forgotten. The news, however, was bittersweet. The search for their plane had been called off. The authorities had declared them dead, lost to the unforgiving wilderness. The survivors were devastated. Their hopes, rekindled by the radio signal, were cruelly dashed against the rocks of reality. But despair soon gave way to a steely determination. They knew that they had to take their fate into their own hands. They couldn't rely on rescue. They had to find a way out of this frozen hell on their own. The radio, though carrying heartbreaking news, became a symbol of hope, a reminder that civilization existed beyond the icy peaks that imprisoned them. A daring plan began to take shape. They would send a small expedition across the treacherous mountains, a desperate gamble to find help. Nando Parrado, a young survivor, volunteered for the perilous mission. His courage and determination inspired the others, giving them a renewed sense of hope. On December 12th, after 60 days on the mountain, Nando, accompanied by Roberto Canessa, embarked on their perilous journey. They carried with them the hopes and dreams of their fellow survivors, their backpacks laden with the weight of responsibility. Their trek was a testament to human endurance, a battle against exhaustion, starvation, and the unforgiving elements. They scaled treacherous peaks, navigated treacherous glaciers, and crossed raging rivers. They faced avalanches, freezing temperatures, and the constant threat of starvation, but they never gave up hope. They drew strength from the memory of their fellow survivors, their determination fueled by the belief that they would see them again. After 10 grueling days, Nando and Roberto stumbled upon a shepherd tending his flock. Their ordeal was over. They had found their way back to civilization. The news of their survival spread like wildfire, a beacon of hope in a world hungry for good news. Helicopters were dispatched to the crash site, their rotors churning the thin mountain air. The remaining survivors, weak but alive, were hoisted aboard, their eyes wide with disbelief. After 72 days of unimaginable hardship, their nightmare was finally over. They had survived against all odds. The world watched in awe as the survivors emerged from the helicopters, their faces gaunt, their bodies battered, but their spirits unbroken. They had faced death and emerged victorious, their tale a testament to the indomitable spirit of humanity. The survivors returned home, forever changed by their ordeal. They carried the physical and emotional scars of their experience, the memories etched deep within their souls. They faced a world that struggled to comprehend the depths of their suffering. The survivors struggled to readjust to normal life. They battled survivors' guilt, haunted by the memories of those who didn't make it. They faced criticism and judgment from those who couldn't understand the choices they had to make to survive. But they also found strength in each other, forming an unbreakable bond forged in the crucible of shared suffering. They shared their story with the world, their tale a testament to the resilience of the human spirit. They spoke of courage, hope, and the importance of never giving up. They became symbols of survival, their story inspiring millions around the globe. They turned their tragedy into a testament to the power of the human will to live. The story of Flight 571 continues to resonate today, a powerful reminder of the fragility of life and the extraordinary lengths to which humans will go to survive. It is a story of courage, resilience, and the enduring power of the human spirit. The survivors, forever bound by their shared experience, have dedicated their lives to honoring the memory of those who were lost. They have become advocates for survival, sharing their story and their lessons learned with the world. They have taught us that even in the darkest of times, hope can flicker and courage can prevail. The legacy of Flight 571 is a testament to the potential that lies within us all. It is a story that reminds us that even in the face of unimaginable adversity, the human spirit can endure, overcome, and emerge stronger on the other side.